Hi everyone and welcome to GG ahead of what is a brilliant Travers weekend at Saratoga. I'm so looking forward to this card, 5 Grade 1s and of course the Midsummer Derby. The Travers is the highlight and we have got an absolutely fascinating clash between these 3-year-olds here, and I still believe that Epicenter is the best 3-year-old colt in America, despite the fact he is yet to win a Grade 1. This not necessarily his best chance, but it's certainly one that I think he's very capable of taking. He's got some nice ones in here to beat, of course. Early Voting, who beat him in the Preakness, is back. Artorius, who won the Curlin Stakes last time, beating the Ria Prosing Gilded Age, and of course the Derby winner Rich Strike, as well as Cyberknife, winner of 2 Grade 1s, including the Haskell last time. It's not going to be easy for Steve Asmussen's charge. But the interesting thing about Epicenter is he does have that tactical versatility. Early on in his career, he tended to run right up with the pace. Now he closes off it a little bit. Could be a bit dangerous to be too far behind here because Early Voting looks as if he's going to get an uncontested lead. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Epicenter, if they give him hassle on the lead or if they choose to sit back and play for a late run. So that's a bit of a concern for him. Less of a worry perhaps for Rich Strike. We know what he does, although connections have intimated that they might have him placed slightly further forward in this race than is customary. And I have to say, I've been very impressed with how he's adapted to Saratoga so far. The Kentucky Derby winner, he arrived there a couple of weeks ago. He breezed over the track really, really nicely. And although I would be in the camp that say that he just had everything set up for him very nicely at Churchill Downs, I couldn't rule him out completely in this contest because he has been doing so well at the Spa. But for me, the one I think is going to win it is Epicenter, my pick in the Travers. The Sword Dancer is over 1.5 miles. It's the big turf race of the meeting, and it looks particularly interesting that Aidan O'Brien, who's never won this race, has sent over Broome. Broome, of course, is a Group 1 winner that came in the Grand Prix de Saint-Cloud last year. He controlled the Hardwick Stakes, a very strong Hardwick Stakes, from the front at Royal Ascot. Since then was a bit disappointing when being part of what was a pretty frantic pace early on in the King George, paid the price there, faded to 4th. Ryan Moore goes over there to ride him, which I think is crucial. Although they won't necessarily have it their own way on the front end, I think that those tactics will certainly help him here. And he comes up against loads of old favourites, including the last 2 winners of this race, Gufo, successful in 2021, and Channelmaker, who runs in it for a 5th time, who won it in 2020. The interesting thing about Gufo is he really needs this 1.5 miles for me. Last time out, he was just caught out behind Adamo, who also beat Triphuvan. That was in the United Nations over 1.3 miles. This 1.5 miles will really play to Gufo's strengths. So although I think Broome is the one to beat, Gufo can maybe give him the most to think about in the Sword Dancer. The Personal Enzyme is intriguing because there's 5 of them in it. 4 of them are already Grade 1 winners. And this time last year, we were all talking about Letruska as being unbeatable. She's not looked that way this year. Of course, she was beaten, suffered a heavy defeat in the Breeders' Cup. And the same happened last time out as well. When she gets beaten, it tends to be by quite a long way, but at the same time I wouldn't be totally surprised were she to bounce back here. She won this race last year, of course, but she does have Clarier to beat, and Steve Asmussen's filly has really improved this year physically. That's what the yards say. That's why they've seen her now be able to get the better of Malatha as she's done on her last 2 starts. Malatha herself, if she bounces back, she's a real danger over a track that she has, of course, won over. They said last time she was a little bit too quiet when they were saddling her. Something wasn't quite right. If they've got her back, she's the danger. But you can totally understand why Clarier is the favourite for this race. But I just wouldn't be surprised if Letruska were to bounce back. So I'd make her my tentative pick at a more tempting price in the Personal Enzyme. For the 3-year-olds over 7 furlongs, we have the H. Allan Jerkens Stakes, and the intriguing one in here is Jack Christopher. Last time out, they tried to stretch him quite a long way in trip for the Haskell. Didn't work out. He didn't stay, faded. Back at 7 furlongs, he's going to be the hot favourite to take this, but I just want to take him on. There's a couple of interesting ones in there. Gunite, the first son of gun runner that Steve Asmussen ever raced, is a very popular horse in the yard for that reason. He won the Hopeful over this track last year, and since then we've seen him just beat Accretive here last time out in the Grade 2 Amsterdam. That's over 6.5 furlongs. But this horse Accretive, also trained by Chad Brown, I think could just be very interesting. He's only had a couple of starts. very therefore unexposed, still getting the hang of things. Came from 3.5 lengths off the pace to nearly get to Goodnight last time. For me, he's got untapped potential. I'm interested to see how he goes at a bit of a price up against the hot favourite Jack Christopher in that H. Allan Jerkens. One more race for you at grade 1 level, and that is the 4 go, and you'd have to be crazy to go against Jackie's Warrior in this. He's the best dirt sprinter in the world. He's won his last 4. He just looks brilliant. I expect to see him spin round this on the bridle, win, no problem at all. Just a word for Drafted, those wonderful old veteran. They're running here because they think the track suits him. They may go crazy up front. He's a closer, perhaps he can pick up something, but as I said, you'd have to be mad to oppose Jackie's Warrior, probably the banker of the weekend for everybody on Travers Night.